a very close fight. Closer than I'd like. Step it up down there.
AI offline. Pilot mode engaged.
Titanfall is an anomaly. In the new console generation promising bigger, better and more, the game of the moment has chosen to ignore that mantra. Titanfall's 6-on-6 action is streamlined and stripped back, but you could hardly say it's a case of less is more. If you go more than a minute without seeing an explosion, you're probably doing it wrong. Nevertheless, this is a distillation, not an expansion. It reduces the multiplayer shooter down to its essentials, carefully building upon a sturdy skeletal structure and refining everything that's subsequently been bolted on. It's a game that makes noise in all the right places, happy to let its booms and bangs speak for themselves, while the mechanics that underpin the explosive action quietly power one of the most entertaining shooters in ages. That's not to say everything it brings to the party is worthwhile. Much as Respawn seems quite defensive about its lore, its campaign narrative is as generic as they come. Call of Duty Future Warfare with added robots is a reductive assessment, but not an inaccurate one. The story, told mostly through conversations in your pilot's earpiece, is little more than background noise. Two factions, the IMC and the militia, are at war, and that's really all you need to know. Across 9 maps and 2 modes, Attrition, which is essentially team deathmatch, and hardpoint domination, where you earn points for holding 3 capture zones, you'll hear commanders, officers and mercenaries shout objectives and bicker amongst themselves in a variety of accents. Thankfully, you'll be too focused on the action to care what any of it means. It only takes 3 hours to play through both sides of the story, with a similarly anticlimactic ending whoever you're playing as, though it's worth the effort if only to unlock all 3 Titans. While it hardly detracts from the game itself, it's definitely a missed opportunity that comes across as a token gesture designed to ease players' concerns about a £50 game shipping without a story mode. The fact that it's still more fun than most FPS campaigns is simply because the core game is such riotous entertainment. Titanfall may be little more than a series of minor adjustments to existing well-worn formulae, but some clever design choices give it a different feel. Take, for example, the addition of AI troops and spectres. Robot soldiers that are hardier than bog-standard grunts. Sure, these might seem like a sop to novices, but they fulfill multiple purposes. They're basically an accelerant. Through studying their spawn points and behaviours, you'll acclimatise to each map that much quicker, while killing them speeds up the arrival of your Titan if you're struggling to shoot human opponents. They're not the smartest bots you'll ever see, but by taking out groups of them or killing a number in a row, you'll complete one of the game's many objectives, earning you equipable cards that convey temporary perks. Your pilot's agility is another factor. Places that would be safe havens in most shooters are anything but here. Sniping from an upstairs window can be deadly when any opponent is capable of leaping up from the ground and snapping your neck in an instant. Apparent bottlenecks are easily bypassed when you can run up and along walls while cloaked. The controls for these fleet-footed freerunners are immaculately calibrated, although at times you will find yourself bumping awkwardly into scenery as you attempt to kick jump off one wall and land on an adjacent roof. However, you'll be quickly pulling off parkour moves as slick and as satisfying as anything in Mirror's Edge. That unprecedented level of mobility feeds into the maps themselves, which have to be tailored to support nimble pilots and hulking titans alike. They combine intricate routes with wider spaces and a level of verticality that feels very different from its peers, even if the game's aesthetic relies upon a familiar near-future sci-fi palette. There are 15 maps in all, which doesn't seem like a huge number, but it's plenty to be getting on with, not least because each of them offers more than your average shooter map. Downtime is kept to an absolute minimum throughout. Titanfall's maps may be more compact than most, but that means you'll rarely be 10 seconds away from a skirmish. Just as importantly, fresh unlockables arrive with startling regularity, whether it's weapons, mods, pilot abilities or kit. Depending on your skill level, it'll take between 9 and 14 hours to unlock all 31 weapons. If that sounds a little bit too soon, it's worth mentioning that you'll need to spend more time with each of them to earn every attachment, with a staggering 960 separate objectives to keep you busy. Reach level 50 and you'll get the chance to shift up a generation, Titanfall's equivalent of prestiging. And there are 10 generations. Best of all of this isn't really required in a game where simply playing is its own reward. Titanfall is a game of moments. It's about hacking an enemy turret with a data knife, or teaming up to destroy a fleeing dropship, or calling down a Titan while sprinting across rooftops before leaping down and landing on the cockpit. Such delirious mayhem doesn't always pass off without a hitch, however. Matchmaking is occasionally a little bit off, and some will no doubt complain that it doesn't look great for an 8th generation game. Although truthfully, the last thing you'll be concerned about while 12 Titans are trading missiles is the resolution it's running at. The game's always-on requirements are a little bit too restrictive as well. It's particularly daft that you can't even play the tutorial if the servers are down. In truth though, there's little reason to. You'll pick up a controller and pretty much instinctively know how to play the game. Some will see that as a bad thing, and it's true that Zampella, West & Company haven't strayed far from what they know. As debuts go, this is pretty safe territory. It may not be the Titan-sized stride forward that it's been painted as, but by making some smart tweaks, Respawn's terrific shooter is a jet-powered hop ahead of its rivals. And if you want to know more about Titanfall, hit the link in the description now to head across to CVG and read the full review.